Okay, we've been slagging Cork long enough. Well, we haven't been slagging Cork, but
No,
just probably underachievers or underachieving with the size and heritage of the county. It was nice to see them beat Louth, if I'm being honest. It was a decent game. Look, it's a step in the right direction for them. They needed that win because the league, it was an average so-so league. So it was nice to see them get over the line against Louth. But who have they? Who's in that group now? What's the story with that now? Who's
so
in Cork's group? Can you?
so
Who's in
Cork
Cork's
play
group?
Cork play Kerry this weekend,
Cork and
and
Kerry, yes, correct. And
Cork play
Mayo.
Kerry and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Louth play Mayo. Now you would expect Mayo to put Louth to the sword, and you would expect
Yeah.
Kerry to put Louth to the sword. So what you would find there is that win, that game between Louth and Cork was
Yeah.
probably a qualifier. You know who's going to qualify in
Yeah.
second place. But listen, Cork have maybe come in under the radar. We'll know more this weekend of where they are. They've had a lot of time, obviously, to maybe sit and stew and think about things. For me, obviously, the defeat in the Munster Championship to Clare was a hugely significant blow to them.
Yeah.
My worry is that you look at the results that maybe Clare have had since against Kerry and against Donegal, and you sort of think to yourself, Cork would need to have dramatically improved from
Yeah.
semi-final defeat, to obviously compete against Kerry this weekend, who will be coming in under no illusions with a wounded animal, a dangerously wounded animal, baying for blood this weekend, unquestionably against Cork, and no better motivation for a Kerry man than a red jersey, So, but look, to be fair, and Cork, we've chatted about Cork on the show in the past. They have some wonderful footballers. They've some really, really powerful direct runners up front. They have to, even with the addition of Kevin Walsh this year from a coaching perspective. I was hugely impressed with the job Kevin Walsh done with Galway. And surely to God that they'll make themselves competitive, in these next two games against Kerry and Mayo. And we'll know on Sunday exactly where Cork are at after this test, because this will be.
I'm gonna put my neck out here now. I think that Cork Kerry game is going to be a closer game than that. I still think Kerry will come through, but I think it's going to be a 3-4 point game. I'm really. I think Sean Meehan will go on to Clifford. He's marked him very well in the past. He's he's a fucking brilliant. You're on about Iran, the man mark. Who are you on about man marking earlier on? I think Meehan is he's one of the best man markers in the game. Brian Sackwood was coming. Sorry, they're playing Sean Powter out as a third midfielder. It'll be
a dynamic wee player. He played in that sort of floating role before. He's played back as nearly as he's played at 2. He's played at 4. And Powter was a loss for them a few years ago. They were going well. I think was it the year they beat Kerry with the last minute goal, and Powter was injured. He's a massive loss to them. Listen, Powter's a good player, a really good player, real powerful runner.
Yeah, look, Matty Taylor is a decent wing back. Ian Maguire is a good midfielder. Brian Hurley still kicking scores up front. Stephen Sherlock's come off the bench. Look, I'm talking Cork up here a small bit, but I'm just, this is more so on Kerry. What I'm feeling with Kerry this year than it is more so about Kerry than it is about Cork. To be honest with you, I'm really not convinced with Kerry. So I'd be
one area of the field that maybe Cork could, cause them problems, as you mentioned, the game Maguire again. Ian's a sensational midfielder, and a brilliant footballer. Could be round the middle. If they force Kerry to go long and they put a press on, because Cork have the athleticism and the strength and the size, and it could be an opportunity for Cork to maybe make a bit of gains. And the bottom line is, if you're winning your own kick out and you're disrupting the opposition's, you're giving yourself a decent platform to try and win the game from.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. The Armagh Westmeath game. I watched that. I was very impressed with Westmeath. Go on, sorry, yeah. I was very impressed with Westmeath, I have to say. It was some of the scorers. Luke Loughlin scored an absolute, I don't know what you see, an absolute outrageous, nearly from the sideline. Ronan O'Toole, the centre forward for the goal he got. Scored a couple of dingers as well. Some really good players, man, aren't they?
Oh, listen, Westmeath have consistently over the last number of years, again, another county I feel who are competing in hurling and football. A smaller county,
Yeah.
competing in football and hurling, and competing really well. Now, I just think under Jack Cooney, to be fair, and I'm going to be honest with you, I feel they were better organised. I feel that a wee bit more about them from a tactical point of view. Did I hear today, is Jason Sherlock in doing a bit of work with them? I'm not sure. I think I've seen or heard something today about that. I don't know how true that is. It could possibly be that Desi Dolan has realised, look, it's first stint in inter-county management. It's important you surround yourself with as much experience as you can. James Dolan, the wing back, is a phenomenal footballer. James is always he was nearly a man that you would nearly be tagging as a matchup, when you were playing Westmeath. Obviously, Heslin is a Rolls Royce of a forward. He missed a very, very easy free, which I was shocked about when they played down in the National League. And that actually probably cost them promotion that night, because a point in Newry that night would have actually kept them in the promotion race, and they ultimately missed out by just a point or two in the end. But Luke Loughlin's always been a very good footballer. He's been a streaky footballer. When Luke's in form and he's striking points and he's in good form, he's a dangerous individual. A decent season for his club this year as well. The Downs, but for me, Armagh will probably be massively relieved. And the spell in the game early where they could have blew Westmeath away. They missed 1-3, 1-4, 2-4 possibly, and not just give Westmeath then a bit of confidence, in the game. The lucky break they got for Turbott's goal as well.
Yeah.
A huge break in the game for them, because I don't think Enda they would have won the game, and significantly it would have put Armagh under huge pressure going to Omagh on Saturday night. But I'll tell you what, if there's one game you want to see on Saturday, it'll be that one, because there is no love lost there. No love lost there.
I would say that's probably rivalry wise. Steve, is that the biggest rivalry in Ulster? Like, Armagh and Tyrone hate each other.
Yeah, Tyrone Derry don't despise each other. Tyrone Armagh probably stems back to the noughties. It's probably still quite fresh. It's quite relatively fresh, and it's probably been the most recent of what you would call with a longevity and rivalry. It's been the most recent, probably gone back to the noughties and that. And there is obviously the historic occasion of the first ever All Ulster All Ireland final was in 2003 between the two counties. And I was actually at all those occasions, and there were wonderful occasions, like hugely intense battles, brilliant spectacles as well. But for me, and I think Saturday night, I think the winner of Saturday night is in a hugely powerful position, because if Tyrone beat Armagh, they'll beat Westmeath, and that will put Tyrone through on 4 points. It'll put Armagh under serious pressure to go to Salt Hill on the last day, they'll play actually Galway at a neutral venue, because there's one home, one away, one neutral. So they'll go to Galway, they'll play Galway, and it'll be huge pressure on them to beat Galway to qualify. So for me, Saturday night is a huge game for both counties. A huge game for both counties.
Put your head on the block here. Who are you calling? Tyrone, Armagh?
In Omagh, I think there's going to be another little kick in Tyrone, and I think Tyrone will edge it.
Yeah, I do too. Westmeath, Galway. Westmeath at home.
Galway will do enough. Galway will certainly do enough. Obviously, Westmeath will be spirited, but I can only see one winner there, and I think Galway will do enough. Galway will see this as a great opportunity, and to top the group, and obviously put themselves in an All Ireland quarter final in Salt Hill will be a huge advantage. Advantage.
They're fucking I'm not dark horses. I keep saying dark horses, not dark horses, but the media don't really talk about Galway too much.
There's not a lot of talk about them.
No, there's not. And the fucking team they have, and the squad they have, the coaches they have.
They've been there last year, and they know how close they were. They were a referee decision away from winning All Ireland, in my opinion.
Yeah, big time. It's just why? What's your opinion? Just quickly, why do you think that is? Like, the media just don't. Is it just
maybe the fact they lost the league final to Mayo, then they went on and won Connacht, So now, to be fair, in the game against Sligo, as impressive as they were very poor in the second half against Sligo. Very poor, in the second half of that game. But then again, the game was sort of won anyway in the first half, so it's very, very hard to judge. They weren't magnificent against Tyrone either, but then again, you know, these groups, you know, it's probably just about getting through the group and
It's hard to know,
and
isn't it? Yeah.
yourself for a knockout in an All-Ireland quarter-final, you know.
Kildare, Dublin, Nolan Park. Will that be a factor at all?
I think it'll give Kildare a better opportunity, absolutely, you know. But I think Dublin maybe will have learnt more from last weekend than Kildare will have done in 2 weeks against Sligo, you know. Hugely disappointing result for Kildare down in Sligo, Enda. Hugely disappointing result. They would have targeted that game as a game they should have won. But what will be interesting now is everyone will probably expect Dublin to beat Kildare and Sligo, and everyone will probably expect Roscommon to beat Kildare and Sligo. So it'll be interesting to see now. You know, nearly. I think for Kildare, it's vitally important that they get close in this game, because if they don't get close in this game and Dublin were to get a run on them, and say Dublin were to put them away by 8 or 9 points, it could leave Kildare in a very precarious situation to qualify. You know, but I do feel the game will be close. I think what you said is absolutely correct. It's impossible to know where Dublin are at. Impossible to know where they're at because their form's been so flaky and so unpredictable.
I'm going to say a draw game for the crack.
There's been a lot of draws. We were chatting about
Yeah.
this yesterday. There's been a lot of draws. There's been a lot of draws in both football and hurling.
Yeah. Cork and Kerry, Porky Queeve, we discussed it. You think are you going saying Kerry are going to beat them out the gate here? Are you going
I
that far?
just I just think Kerry will be reeling after that last performance, reeling, like, you know. I really do. I just feel it'll be circle the wagon job and no one reach you, and you know there'll be a lot of table bashing over the next few weeks. Like, but I would say Kerry by 5 or 6 in my opinion.
Right. I'm going to say Kerry by maybe 3 or 4. Yeah. Fuck it, Jan. I just don't know. I just don't know what Kerry and Dublin know this year. We go on to where is he gone? You're there. Mayo Loud in Castlebar. We'll finish off the All-Ireland series first for the Celtic Cup.
Yeah, look, after Louth, after the disappointment of last week, like, it'd be very, very hard realistically for Louth to lift that. I think they would have put a lot of eggs into that basket, Enda, you know.
Yeah.
And there would have been a huge effort to get over the line against Cork. I just feel, you know, that Louth had a huge opportunity, in my opinion, maybe possibly of winning a Tailteann Cup and picking up some silverware, but
Yeah.
I just don't even think they're going to win a game, to be honest. You know,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, I'd say Mayo by 5 or 6.
Absolutely, maybe more.
Maybe more. Monaghan Clare at home in Clones.
Yeah, Monaghan. Listen, that's a huge result for Monaghan last week, and again,
Yeah.
they will look at this group and they'll think, if we can beat Clare, you know, showdown with Donegal in the last day at a neutral venue,
Yeah.
possibility of topping the group and bringing someone at Clonus. Jesus, I'll tell you, if they get someone at Clonus in an All-Ireland quarter final, like, some
Yeah.
advantage, and I'll tell you, some fortress down there as well.
Are you saying Monaghan by more than 8 points?
I would say Clare will be extremely disappointed with the result against Donegal. I think Clare would have put a lot of eggs into that basket as well, and there'd have been a huge. The thing about this is there's a huge emphasis on that first game. Beat Donegal, have a massive chance. They're probably looking at the other 2 games thinking it's going to be tough. So if we can get over Donegal, we're through. We've got an opportunity to get through and qualify, but very, very hard to lift it in the space of a week, you know. And Monaghan have the experience there, and the likes of Darren Hughes, Kieran Hughes, you know, those boys will be coming in this week fresh. You know, possibly I would say you'll probably see McManus starting this week. You know, so yeah, I would say Clare will be well organised. Mark Dorn and Colin Collins will have them well organised. Mark's a very good coach. Colin's a wily old fox, but probably just maximising their
Quality.
resources. And
Yeah.
again, another county for me who could win the top, who could easily win the Tailteann Cup, pick up a bit of silverware, but you know, I don't know.
So Roscommon and Sligo.
Roscommon will beat Sligo at the weekend. It's in Hyde Park. You know, I think Roscommon tails will be up from last weekend. You know, there's probably a historical thing there too as well. And as you know, in Connacht, like that, Roscommon, Galway, and Mayo don't really, you know, have any fear whatsoever of the likes of Sligo or Leitrim, unfortunately. Like, and it'll be a difficult weekend for Sligo down there. You know.
And the last one, Donegal, Derry, and Ballybuffet.
Massive game. Massive game. Donegal. We'll
The
know
mini
where Donegal.
Ulster group. The mini
What's that?
Ulster group.
Yeah, yeah.
The
And
mini
listen, we'll
Ulster
know
group.
where Donegal. Well, it'll be an interesting game because we'll know where Donegal are at. They obviously had a huge win down in Ennis. Not an easy place to go to Ennis. A lot of pressure. There was a lot of pressure in Donegal. An awful lot of baggage has been carried about with that group. In the public domain, and there's been a lot of unfair stuff, probably labelled at lads, and a lot of ex coaches and ex managers coming out and having their say, and that heaps a lot of pressure onto a camp. So it'll be interesting to see if they've managed to circle the wagon since then, get a bit of work done conditionally, because it probably did look like a team that maybe just didn't have enough work done, and that was nothing to do with the personnel who are managing the group. It's just the fact they came in so late, and probably most counties are 2 to 3 months advantage on them.
You want to say Derry by 3 or 4? So
I think Derry get it tough this weekend, particularly after such a hard battle last weekend. Donegal have had the extra week's rest, and this is another thing as well this weekend. It'll be interesting to see the teams that have an extra week's rest, because that makes some difference. It will make some
makes a
difference. Donegal
preparation.
put it up to Derry, and I would not rule out another draw in the little mini Ulster championship that's going on there again.
Second, yeah. Charlton Cup round 3. So we have a big one for you: Meath and Down.
Huge game, huge game. Well, look, it's a huge game. Both teams are already through. Like that, both teams have had 2 facile wins over Tipperary and Waterford. We knew that was going to happen. I think we heard, off air or whatever, that Tipperary have been struggling even to hold training sessions. Their numbers have been that.
Sessions, yeah.
I think 6 or 7 at training was the rumour mill a few weeks ago, which is sad too. Very, very sad, for any county. But I've said this, and I probably didn't mean to be disrespectful in some of the remarks I made about these teams, but I do believe there is at least 3 to 4 tiers in football, and I just feel like a lot of these games are genuinely a waste of time. But look, Saturday is certainly not going to be a waste of time. Down will obviously want to win the group. They'll want a quarter-final in Jury. If Down win on Saturday, they are 1 game away from Croke Park. A lot of these players have never played in Croke Park before.
Yeah.
So it'll be a huge obviously experience for them. It'll be another step on the right direction from the learning process for them. But look, Meath, like, and they should have a bit about them. And have they learned anything? Have they learned anything from those 2 games against Waterford and Tipperary? It's hard to know. How can you learn from an 18-point win or a 16-point win? It's very, very hard to know. And so I would say both counties, both Meath and Down, will know on Saturday afternoon where they really are in this Tailteann Cup, because if Down are to beat Meath, I would say there'll be a lot of soul searching in the Meath camp. And if Meath are to beat Down might be just thinking, this is tougher than we think, So I'm going to go for Down.
Meath have bet Waterford. Who else have they beaten? Waterford.
Tipperary.
Who else? Fuck
Tipperary.
off, Jesus
I'm
Christ.
gonna go with Down. I'm gonna go with Down.
I'm gonna go with Down as well, to be honest with you. Tip and Waterford. We may as well just flip a coin here, because it's Waterford probably. Waterford.
But for me, and I don't want to be disrespectful here, but you're delaying the inevitable. Like whoever wins is just gonna get beaten in the next game. And like, if people are talking about extra games, I don't think those extra games do any good for those teams. Because the longer a group goes on, the worse the defeats get, and the harder it is to. How do you keep morale going throughout a group where you're losing 3 games and getting tanked and getting hockeyed out the gate? That's why I just feel that Tailteann Cup had to be a knockout. The groups are a disaster. They are a disaster. That's the bottom line. They are a shambles. And the fact that even 3 qualify just delays it even more and makes it even more of a joke. At least with a knockout, there was the opportunity for a few shocks. There was the opportunity for a big day. Go at somebody, give it a real good crack. But these groups are just, I find it very, very hard to even get motivated to watch them.
Cavan Offaly.
Cavan will beat Offaly comfortably. Cavan are probably one of the favourites for the Tailteann Cup.
Laois London. Laois, surely. Fucking, you wouldn't know, actually.
Well, that's true too.
Laois should surely fucking beat them. Jesus. It's at home.
He'll shadow the team 45 years ago. Who's that?
It's in Parnell Park. It's obviously a neutral venue, but still, Jesus. Limerick. Double-headed with Meath and Down. Limerick Wicklow. You'd imagine Limerick, wouldn't you?
Limerick have put themselves in a very powerful position. They've won 2 games out of 2. Wicklow are actually out of it. They can't qualify, so you'd be expecting to win that game, comfortably. But big disappointment for Oisin too there, big disappointment probably. Having gained promotion, you would have thought Tailteann Cup was a realistic target to maybe get to the last 4, but to not qualify out of that group is probably very disappointing,
It just shows as well, Stevie, like the Division 4 teams here haven't performed at all in the Tailteann Cup, have they? Apart from like Sligo and Sam Maguire, because obviously
we forget they're in Division 4 for
Division
4 but Division 4 team.
No, but it just backs up your points. Just backs up your points.
You're putting in Division 2 teams into a group with them. It's pointless.
Fermanagh Antrim, that'll be a close one.
That would be a good game. And it's the group decider, I think. I think it's the group decider. Both counties. Yeah, Down and Meath and Fermanagh. Down, Meath and Fermanagh Antrim are the 2 group deciders. Fermanagh obviously had a draw against Wexford in the first game, but they won the second game comfortably. Antrim won 2 from 2. So a win will put and Antrim in 4, and Fermanagh would top the group. So I would say both Down and Meath and Fermanagh Antrim are the 2 games to watch out for this weekend. Whoever wins tops the group and gets a home venue for the quarter-final. And Fermanagh in Brewster Park and Antrim in Corrigan Park in a quarter-final. Nobody will want to go there. Nobody will want to go there. So both teams will be very, very keen to get home advantage,
Lastly, Longford Carlow.
Look, Longford obviously sort of they've had a decent result there against it was Wicklow they beat in the last day out, wasn't it? Wicklow in the last Carlow beat Wicklow in the last day out. Longford beat Wicklow the first day out and then lost to Limerick. Carlow historically wouldn't have a good record against Longford, and I would say that would probably continue this weekend. And
okay. And the last one, Wexford Leitrim. Is that dead rubber?
No.
It's not.
I think if Leitrim can win, they'll go into a playoff. They'll go into one of the playoff spots in 3rd place. And I suppose the small advantage of 3 teams going through is that there is very few dead rubbers. It is a small advantage, but it does leave a large amount of questions to be asked over why the need for all these extra games. I don't see these games as being development for the smaller counties. I really don't.
When you hear Tipperary lads are getting six inter-county training, well then you're in trouble here. But look, they might. Look, I think you're probably right. Last point, knockout would probably serve the Tailteann Cup best. The group stages you can probably stomach it with the All-Ireland series, but the Tailteann Cup it comes.
And I'm going to finish this. Leagues are leagues, and leagues are leagues, and cups are cups. Cups are for knockouts. Leagues are for leagues, and that's it. And don't have a league and then don't have a cup with a league. It just does not make sense. It does not make sense.
On that note, go on. I'll see you next week.
Good man.
Good luck, man.
Good
Cheers,
man.
man. Bye.